Smith from the, I have to push the got it. Kyle Smith, who's with the Metro Mayor's Caucus, and he'll introduce Terry Wilcoxon. And Kyle's gonna share with us a little bit about the Mayor's Caucus program, and then we're gonna learn from the city of Woodstock, Illinois about their implementation. So thanks for joining us.
Great, well, thank you. If anything, I feel very humbled to introduce Terry from Woodstock, which is one of our most advanced communities in the Age-Friendly Communities Collaborative, and has been with it since the beginning. But I agreed to provide a little bit of introduction about what we're doing in the Chicago region, and so I'll do that. My name is Kyle Smith with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. I'm joined by Nancy Furfer, who is our senior advisor, and when she was the mayor of Glenview, one of the founders of the Mayor's Caucus, as well as Brad Winnick, our aging and community consultant, who both runs our Aging in a Changing Region program and has built a lot of bridges and connections for us regionally and nationally. My organization, our organization in the Chicago region, is a little bit different from Mark in that we are a mayor's organization. We have several councils of government in the Chicago region. We have 9, in fact, and they all collaborate within us. So we're a place of collaboration between towns in our very large region. And we are separate from, but work closely with our Metropolitan Planning Organization, your counterpart, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. Over the years, we've been an organization through which mayors and local officials collaborate on various issues, some legislative in nature, some regional in nature, like transportation, economic development, climate adaptation and resiliency, housing and housing markets. And this is a newer collaboration, although it's hard to believe it's about 3.5 years old. It first came together in 2 different ways. Through our housing work, we were learning that municipalities and local officials were identifying aging in place and aging as homes as the #1 shared housing issue in the Chicago metropolitan area. And then simultaneous to that, our now chair and the mayor of the town of River Forest, Mayor Kathy Aducey, after becoming a dementia-friendly community, approached us and our executive director, and really urged our organization to focus on it. And I think the mayor's observation is that aging and our demographic shifts are a structural change. Much like the change in our climate that is coming, that don't stop neatly at town boundaries. So over the years, we've met quarterly, just like you. The collaborative has agreed to a shared action agenda in 5 issue areas: housing, transportation, public safety, health, and civic engagement. We have several communities that have enrolled in the AARP Age-Friendly Network, including Woodstock, and they've done marvelous things. We've also developed our own in-house program with Brad called Aging in a Changing Region to help those communities that are earlier on in the awareness stage. I know we're not going to talk about that today, but it's been a pretty successful program. We work with 5 towns a year. Brad does all of the heavy lifting, so the we is really Brad, but it's been great to engage awareness and work in our region. And then we have communities like Woodstock, and Terry, it's been a pleasure working with the city of Woodstock over the last 3.5 years. You can explain better than us, but when we first started working with you, I recall that you were just becoming enrolled as an age-friendly community, and both on your own, and we like to think, hopefully through some of the peer sharing, you've received additional inspiration to do some really marvelous things in the city of Woodstock.
Yeah.
So just really happy to both share, ask Terry to share, and then also learn from you all. So I think I'll turn it over to Terry, but I'll just say one more thing, which is that the opportunity for shared learning, I think, is something we're really interested in, for communities that have advanced to implementation very far, like Woodstock, and for communities that are earlier on. And we're just eager to learn how we can collaborate with you. So at any rate, Terry, it's your time to shine.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kyle and Kathy, for this opportunity. I'm going to do the voodoo thing here. So if we've got that up.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So Woodstock, if you're not familiar with Woodstock, we are a small rural community about an hour and a half northwest of downtown Chicago on Metro Rail, which is a great asset. We were founded in 1844. We are surrounded by a beautiful town square. And we are, if you're not familiar with the film Groundhog Day, we're the filming site, proudly celebrating that every February for the past 30 years. So if you're looking for something to do in the middle of winter, come on down to Woodstock. We attract people from all over the country. About 5,000 people come for that event in February. So come and see us. This is our beautiful town square. So why were we motivated to do the age-friendly program? Well, community need. Here we were, the county seat of McHenry County, but for some reason, no aging services were located here in town. They all ended up being in some of our neighboring communities, which out here in the country wasn't a mile or two away, it was 10 or 12 miles away. So that lack of access also goes to lack of awareness, and people just really weren't seeing the kinds of services that were available. So organizational benefit, there's no downside to being part of this program. It makes everybody look good. Cities are very reactive by nature because there's always way too much to be done all the time, and a lot of people letting you know what needs to be done all the time. But my background personally was in advertising and marketing. And so you're looking for your USP. Well, as the grants manager, I have no budget. Everything I do, I have to come up with the money for through grants. So you're looking for what's different, what's going to raise you out of that big stack of other applications. And being an age-friendly community shows that proactive nature that funders just love. Especially because it's with a dedicated audience, an underserved audience. So, and the final thing is, why does any of us do anything? It's that personal motivation. My background was in sociology and psychology, so I'm always interested in human nature. And then my own mother turned 90 and went down the dementia path. And that is a very eye-opening experience for any of us to have to go through, right up to the very end of having to sell a family estate that had been in the family for 4 generations. So I was POA, I had to learn about all of it. And I thought, well, this just isn't right. There has to be more access to information. So I went on the AARP site, and if you've not done that, it is a dive down a really deep rabbit hole about aging, and fabulous publications. Their materials are just great. They've got some of the best writers, I think, that are still employed in the field of journalism today. So do avail yourselves of that, that information. But for all the words, there's nothing that brings home this this industry like the graphics, and looking at these kinds of visual representations of what we're going through is really eye-opening. So particularly the one there that shows that within 10 years we're going to be having this historical change in our society with more older people than younger people for the first time ever. This is a pretty a pretty big thing we're going through here. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, gee, why isn't anybody doing anything? And of course, we're government, so we're the ones that need to be doing it. So I went into the mayor and we'd worked together for a number of years. We were close. And I said, you know, Brian, none of us is getting younger. Some of us are not getting younger faster than others. And we were the same age. And we were both about 10 years older than everybody else we were working with. And that was a pretty compelling argument to get involved with this program. So then we were off and running. This was in 2019. You start out with a city council resolution. That was no problem. Nobody's going to vote against something like this. That's a no-brainer. The application to ARP, there's no charge, but it's just a matter of outlining the kinds of things in your community that are going to benefit from this kind of program. At the time, there were only 6 cities in Illinois and 320 cities nationwide. So in the past 3 years, the program has essentially doubled nationwide, and that just is a testament to how well it's run and the benefits to the communities. The key was really for us working with Kyle and helping develop the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Collective. I think we have, don't we, Kyle, about 40 agencies or so now that are participating. And it gives me tremendous validation to what I'm trying to do out here. It's just a really good group of people, very engaged and very active in their communities. But our focus is on program and policy improvements with economic benefits to the community. The service organizations, you know, let them do it. God love them. I mean, they're great at what they do. But for us, we're looking at the economic benefits, and there are many of those. And it also offers a lot of positive opportunities to collaborate with other people in your organization that most departments don't really get that opportunity to do. But that also requires silo sharing, which, as we know, is not always as easy as it sounds. So what happened next? Well, I needed to get some money. So our local funders, the Community Foundation for McHenry County, just so was happening to develop their first transformational grant program. That's $75,000. There were only 3 in the whole county that were given out, and it was right in the middle of COVID. But I pulled together this application. I think I was here until 10 o'clock one night doing it, but it worked. So that allowed us to hire NIU, Northern Illinois University Center for Governmental Studies. Great group of people. They helped us put our action plan together. And because of that educational focus, we were able to attract a really strong group of community professionals for our steering committee. So the plan was adopted, 50-page plan by City Council and ARP in 2021. And the plan then earned the Illinois American Planning Association's 2021 Best Practice Award for Innovation. So that was a huge testament to the work that we put into that. That in turn earned us the Community Foundation's second transformational grant to implement the plan. And that's how this kind of all works. Once you get the success snowball going, it all just kind of builds on itself. So the first priority that everyone around here had wanted was a drop-in senior community center. We didn't have the right place. We didn't have the right people involved. But in Illinois, we have a governmental unit called townships, and they are mandated to use some of their taxing funds to serve seniors. It's a little vague, and they can kind of do a lot of different things with it. But Door Township had this beautiful facility that was pretty underutilized at the time. And so I went to the supervisor and said, if I can get grant funding to help you outfit this with, you know, all kinds of equipment and furnishings, and put together the job description and recruit a director, can you take on this program? And amazingly, she said yes. And we got this fabulous dynamic director, and she has put together this monthly program of events that it's just wonderful for our community. So she's got probably 30 or 40 adults that come every week, and probably twice that many for her special events. One of the triggers to be real honest, was getting the title of the program, and that's SOAR at door. So it's serving older adult residents and keeping it all upbeat and fun. And that really makes it great for everybody. Next thing I did was an information hub, and I did put that URL in the chat for everybody. I was able to get our IT department to give me this URL that then points to the homepage. So it's part of the city's website, but we call it Growing Older Together. We've got this, and our one-stop shop for things to do, places to go, ways to get help, find friends. And this was during COVID. A lot of people were still homebound. So it was just a nice way of reaching out to people. I wrote this all myself. It was not hard to do. I have about 6 or 8 sections: got entertained, got educated, got healthy, got active, and then with the direct hyperlinks to all these different things. So you don't have to go all over the scary internet and mess with technology. You just have to go to this one site, and I think that's been a lot of fun for people. Next thing we did this summer was we were able to get the AARP's Challenge Grant Award. 3,200 applications nationwide and only 260 awards. So it was not a lot of money. It was only about $23,000. But we worked with the Land Conservancy from McHenry County, great group that we work with on our conservation areas here in Woodstock. And we took this very overgrown oak woods in our main city park. And we cleared out this big section of the woods, Public Works put in this beautiful crushed limestone wide pathway, kind of like the quays in Europe. And so we're calling this our intergenerational nature trail. And I've found that adding that term intergenerational has really been a key factor to a lot of the things that I'm doing. A lot of people kind of cringe when you talk about senior things, but when you make it be intergenerational, all of a sudden it's a lot of fun for everybody and it keeps the families involved. So this was Woodstock Woods Walk, and the best part of it for me was I worked with Morton Arboretum to get a couple of certified forest therapy guides to come up and give us forest bathing tours of our new Woods Walk. And it's a Japanese program that they actually, the doctors in Japan actually prescribe because it's so therapeutic. And it ends with this little tea ceremony tribute to nature at the end. So, and then we had the cycling without age rides, and that was a lot of fun too. So that was our dedication at that. What's next? Well, for me, I thought I was going to retire last year. I turned 70 in January, and now it wasn't that easy. Came up with this one last idea, which was this intergenerational inclusive playground. So in addition to having the poured rubber surface, which is the really expensive part, let me tell you, and this beautiful equipment, we're adding a whole section of low impact exercise equipment with a bench swing and permanent game table and shade and a picnic area. So we've got the families coming out and keeping it together and showing that exercise is something that you do lifelong, and everybody works together with that. Why is this such an important investment? You probably know 1 in 5 people in our society has a disability of some kind. Our District 200, our school district, serves 853 special needs students. And disabilities only increase as we age. So that's something that is long overdue, I think. A lot of things can be done with this program. In our library, for instance, we have a children's area, we have a young adult area. I said, why don't we have an older adult area? So we put together some nice furnishings and expanded the large print section. And so that's something that we're doing there. Education and housing options are things that are just ongoing. There's always more that can be done. So I encourage everybody, if you are just kind of sitting back and waiting for somebody else to do it, start with your head, do your research. It's so easy online. Follow your heart. If it sounds good, just act with your gut, get out there and do it. Hold hands with others because you can't do it by yourself. So take what's given with gratitude, give back praise early and often, and most importantly, never, ever stop finding ways to laugh about this wacky thing called aging.
Great. Thank you so much, Terry. It's always so interesting to see how each individual city is taking this work and moving forward with it. So I think we have time for questions for Terry or Kyle, Nancy, or Brad, who's affiliated with this program as well. You can either put it in chat or just unmute and just ask your question. Oh, Christina, I see your hand up. So Christina, do you have a question?
No, actually, I thought that was the high five or clapping or something. That way I was.
Sorry, I guess I still, apparently I'm still remedial with Zoom memes.
Yeah, apparently me too.
So anyone have a question? Well, maybe we'll go with Alan's presentation with Gladstone, and then we'll have a discussion at the end of Alan's as well. But thank you so much, Terry. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alan,
Thank you from our region for inviting us. I just wanted to say that we deeply appreciate it.
We'll continue to have some discussion after this about ongoing partnership with you all.
All right, let me see if I can share my screen here. Let me see if I can get it over here. Can you see my presentation?
It flashed up, and now we see the beautiful spaceship side.
Great. And there we are. Is it there now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's see if I can make this work. As Kathy said, we were the first city to become a gold. And let me apologize right off beginning. We are under construction here, and they are tearing out the front of City Hall, which is right outside my window here. So you may be hearing some noise behind me. As like Kathy said, we were one of the first city to become a gold city. When we did the program with Kathy, it was still kind of in its infancy, still learning about it and everything. So when I went through it and ran through the program, it has changed a little bit based on a lot of things we learned during the first couple of years. And Kathy will let you attest to that, because we did have a lot of questions and a lot of not sures of what we were doing and what we were looking for and whatnot. So one of the things we have done is, when I did go gold, we put the we did an index added to our comp plan to have communities for all ages as part of our comp plan. We are just wrapping up our new comp plan. It was council Monday night recommended it that be approved by our planning commission. So it's going to the planning commission this coming Monday night, will be approved. And Shockey Consulting is the one who worked with us on this, and they have incorporated communities for all ages throughout the whole comp plan. So it's not like just one little page or chapter at the end of the whole thing. It's actually throughout the whole program. And that was part of our commitment to being in the communities for all ages and wanting to maintain it and being a community, but also for our residents of basically all ages. Part of what we've done, and I'm kind of going to skip through this. I'm not going to read everything. I think, Kathy, you're going to share this, I presume, eventually. But our program, especially around housing, recreation, transportation, a lot of it is towards that for it. So I'll kind of go into a couple of things. We did have very specifically about goals and overall. We had about a 67% respondent about housing accommodations and life stages. A lot of people really want to stay in an age and place where they're at. One of the things we have done to try to help that is we have some goals and local actions that we have putting together based on the comp plan. based on our surveys that we have had done during this comp plan, several meetings, we had gone out to several, Shockey had gone out to several of our events to get people. We had a QR code people could click on and respond to the survey and everything else. One of us is our community identity is to provide the highest quality of life for everyone in our community. We have a strategy of promote our diversity, equity, and inclusion in our community. We do have some actions and all that. Increase involvement with our youth and accessibility. Our parks, we have been working very diligently on over the years as we make improvements to make them accessible. Linden Square, which is where we have all our concerts, we do our movie nights and have other functions going on, which is Tuesday night will be the mayor's Christmas tree lighting. It is an accessible park to get to, maneuver around, a variety of things that people can, events that we have going on there that people can be involved in and or attend. Our Hobby Hill Park, which a lot of the people who were with communities for all ages were able to, I think a lot of them from our communities for all ages in our area went and saw, but it is a all-inclusive park. We have walking trail, we have meditation areas, we have play areas for the kids, we have some areas that the adults can use that are kind of more active or exercising type thing. Got a shelter. We have disc golf out there, which has become very popular. We have had multiple golf tournaments and a variety of range of ages of people who love disc golf, playing disc golf and get active in all that. One of our other strategies, we want to be a healthy community for all the generations, mentally and physically. We're working on steps, especially towards the mental part, working with, I believe it's Tri-County and the CIT program, where our employees here working, if we're running across people we feel have some issues, we can talk to a person at Tri-County, let them know what we're seeing, and they can kind of make contact and work with it. Our police department was doing it for a while, but we've kind of expanded it out to all our departments because all our departments do have contact with a variety of people throughout, everything going on from code enforcement guys, building inspections, our parks and recreation people, and all the programs we have going on. We are very supportive with our North Kansas City School District in this too. Another goal is to mainly enhance the recreational facilities and programs that I was talking about a little bit earlier. Making sure all our programs, our facilities are for all ages. We have at our community center, they have programs for the seniors to go do swimming, sitting in the whirlpool tub over there, some other things. We actually had, even before we got into communities for all ages, we host pinochle for people who like to play pinochle. And there's a variety of age groups that like to play pinochle on that. We also have a program with kind of got put on hiatus during the pandemic, but they just went, I believe, to Greece. But we have a 55 over program, and before the pandemic, they used to travel to different areas and do things and do stuff locally and out of the country. And this year they went to Greece. So, and one other goal is to provide the highest quality of safety for everybody. Wanting to make sure all our residents are safe, you know, from the older generation, younger generation, whatever, throughout the city, feel they're safe from crime and whatever else they may feel is an issue. The built environment, our neighborhoods, trying to make sure we have diverse housing for everybody. We want to try to promote reinvestment in our neighborhoods. We are working with a consultant, trying to work with our neighborhoods, with our existing neighborhoods, our homeowners association, neighborhoods that aren't organized, just trying to, you know, help them out, help with infrastructure, help with those who need assistance in maintaining their homes. We have a lot of people who are on fixed incomes, don't have the resources or whatnot to make repairs. So we have some programs that we'll work with a couple of not-for-profits that we deal with on that. ensure our neighborhoods have the highest quality of diverse housing choices. A little bit some more of that is, we have homes that were built, post World War II to high-end homes. We have a variety of multifamily living here too, which the one we have that was built, the last one we built, always has a waiting list. The one we have currently going under construction will also be starting up. I think they're gonna start rent next year, but both of these are not far from our transportation lines either. And I'll talk a little bit more about our work with our transportation group here. Increase the housing type price points, basically trying to make sure we have housing stock for basically all ages. One of the things really is getting the missing middle. You've got the workforce housing, we've got some, high-end housing, is that middle housing stock, the family stock. We're looking at some of that and what can be done. We have some programs out there, and I know we work with Mid-America Regional Council. They've got some workbooks on how you can remodel a home, make them accessible, things like that. Some additions you could do to help add space to your home. Another goal is increase our housing type price. Like I said, I kind of went through that with the market mans. We're looking at maintenance-free villas. We got some developers we're working with looking at. We just have one development, basically. It's all zero entry, no basement, no steps, all zero entry. We have another development that's looking at coming in, something real similar to that. So we're always looking for patio style villas, something where people who have don't like stairs, can't use stairs, that have accessible homes to get into. And then also one of our actions is promote housing options by the transportation I was talking about. With the pandemic, it did kind of slow things down with the bus transportation. Everybody was working from home, so people were traveling and starting to go back. One of the things we did is the Kansas City Transportation Authority here has a flex program we use in Gladstone. We have expanded it, covers most of Gladstone. Basically, somebody can call up for $1.50. They can get anywhere in Gladstone and a couple areas just outside, like the North Kansas City Hospital, some doctor's offices and whatnot. They have come up, the KCHEA has come up with an app that these people can use so that they don't have to always call. They just get on the app, they find out what's going on. We have seen an increase of its use since it's been started earlier this year, around February, March, I think is when it went into effect. And we have seen a very good use on that. We still have a public transportation on our main lines. We're looking at that too, as to the ridership there, where we're seeing some increase in ridership, amenities that we may want to put in where these bus stops are at. We have a few amenities in some, but some areas we just have signs, some areas we have benches, some areas we have shelters. So that's some things we're looking at to help people who want to use alternate transportation. And then just looking at our policies and that on all this stuff. We still, like I say, we want to continue our partnership with Mid-America Regional Council for all ages. That's a big thing with us. We are very, very committed to this program and have been since we started on it. And like I say, opportunities for transportation, but looking for more elderly and disabled, but the flex plan has helped with that. Successful plans to assure our ADA compliance standards at public facilities. When City Hall was remodeled back in '96, we had ramps added for that. Over the years, they've deteriorated and whatnot. That construction that you hear going on behind me, this is part of that. We are redoing the front of City Hall. We'll have a more accessible front. We're making our police department more accessible. They will be on the front side of the building next to City Hall, instead on the back side where people had to always go around after they came into City Hall, realizing that this wasn't the police department. They had to go around the backside. So we're making it more inviting, more accessible, and easier to get into. So resilient economy, basically to support prosperity for all residents and businesses. We're trying to look at increasing the workforce and using a diverse group of workforce that we have. And so we have a diverse population in Gladstone of all cultural, physical, race, ethnic, religion, and gender identity. So we are looking to help and increase that. Related land use principles. We want to encourage development, redevelopment, accommodate housing choices. One of the things we have been slow on is probably accessory dwelling units. We're still kind of have that. It's not on the forefront, but it's not gone. It has been incorporated in the new comp plan, so it's something we'll probably be looking into more and more. Also preserve our historic places and maintaining them. We do have a historic farm here, and making it accessible. We're looking at other programs out there that we can do with schools and other organizations to help educate people on farming and other things that dealt with our history, dealing with farms and all that kind of stuff. Well, I think that's the end of my program. So
Great. Thank you, Alan.
did I unshare everything?
Yeah, I think you
Okay.
hit stop share. Great.
Okay.
So any questions for Alan and or Terry or Kyle? You can either put it in the chat or somehow raise your hand on the one of the memes that you can do. So Alan, one of the questions that I have that so in your opinion, who owns the age-friendly community or the communities for all ages within your department? Do all department heads and elected officials just talk to us about how that's being incorporated?
It's everybody that's involved. That's why when we did the comp plan, we got it more throughout the comp plan. Like I said before, it was just an appendix to the comp plan, which is the only way we could get in because we weren't ready to update our comp plan. But everybody, I mean, our parks recreation are with all the parks facilities, like I said, trying to make them user friendly for everybody, for those who are disabled, those who are young, old, that type of thing. Also, our public works, I was working on the Kansas City area trails. We're adding trails every year. You can only do so much. There's only so much money goes so far, so you can only do so many linear feet of trail. But we've added a lot of trail systems throughout Gladstone to tie into that whole regional trail that Mark's been working on with all the other communities. So we're really involved in that, and that deals with making trails wide enough so you can walk, but also you can ride bikes on it. People who maybe are using scooters because they really can't walk but want to get out and see nature. So we're making our trails wider. Say, having like a little 3-foot trail, they're 5 foot, 6 foot wide. So
Great. So Terry or Kyle, do you have any questions of Alan and the work that they're doing?
That was a good question. I think that this is more of a comment than a question, but I think the recognition for the need of missing middle housing in general, but as well as for older adults specifically, is something that we've encountered in a lot of communities. In particular, both needing missing middle housing as well as needing missing middle housing without stairs. Or in a kind of an accessible home environment, not just stairs, but where the bathroom's located, the laundry, etc.
Yeah, and that's a big thing as they start getting older. Stairs get harder. My parents were that way. They had 4 levels of stairs because it was a split entry. They ultimately moved over here to Gladstone to one of our communities that I was talking about. That was 0 entrance. You're from your garage into the house, no steps. From the front going to your front door, there's no steps. Everything in the house is all one level. So. But yeah, they were having problems with stairs, and we've got several several residents that are having that issue. And a lot of them have moved into that neighborhood, and it is something that is very popular.
Yeah, yeah. We're kind of thinking about it over here. I don't know if we have any like insights to share other than we also want to understand, you know, how to better add to our housing stock, especially in an infill environment. So it's something we're talking about over here too. I don't know if we have a practice to point to today, but it's something we're thinking about in our region too.
So Alan, Brad is asking if you got any pushback about incorporating communities for all ages in your new comp plan. And if so, how did you overcome it?
No, we have not had any pushback from anybody. Back when we went through this, and a lot of our policies over the years have incorporated a lot of things that Communities for All Ages is part of. But nobody's had any issues with it. Everybody's embraced it, and it's a lot of stuff that we've been doing for, you know, years now, especially since we started Communities for All Ages. But a lot of things that we've done in years past, like say our parks and everything being related. A lot of things we've done is we've changed out a lot of our play equipment so that it's more friendly for not only kids, but kids that have disabilities and whatnot. They can access the equipment. You're not going through mulch or something like that, or maybe wheelchairs or walkers or children who have walking impediments could not get through. So, and then a lot of the equipment is accessible so that they can use the equipment too for their disabilities.
And Brad, and I'm going to ask some of our gold level communities here as well to reinforce this, but it's been my observation that by the time the city's gone through the bronze level and then the self-assessment of the silver, by the time that they get to the gold level, the awareness has been raised enough that there's less pushback by the time that you incorporate the H lens in a major city plan. And David Grass, I'm going to call you out here because you were the first city, I think, that increased your ADU ordinance from one resident zone to all of them. And I remember that Jim Carteret had said that it was kind of going, as everyone went through the process of the recognition program, that it kind of led to that embracing that level of change. So I don't know if you want to speak to that. Okay, I'm going to guess that maybe you're in the meeting, but maybe on another phone call. So we'll see if we can pull you in a little bit. But is there any other gold level city that would like to speak to by the time that you got to the actual incorporation of a policy around any pushback?
We didn't have any pushback from any department here. These are easy things to get behind. Everybody's all for inclusive play equipment and great ideas in recreation for all ages and making buildings accessible to as many as possible. So it's kind of an easy win.
And Dave McCumber?
Yeah. So speaking on the ADU topic, we kind of how we went about it was very slowly over time and methodically with our planning commission and our elected officials discussing the topic of accessory dwelling units. So we didn't really have too much pushback, honestly. I mean, there was a lot of questions early on, but we spent a lot of time with them, kind of educating them, wrapping in the context of the national housing crisis, that the ADUs are part of the country's pastime, and kind of bringing to light that they're really a non-offensive way in single family subdivisions to reintroduce incrementally the next level of density and provide another option for housing for, for really anybody. But we have a lot of questions that come in about relatives being able to live on a property of maybe some younger family members, things of that nature. And so, yeah, we generally didn't have too much pushback. And I think that goes in a lot of ways is paid to the not trying to rush the ideas and spending a lot of time helping educate and provide real world examples of where it's been done and the outcomes of it, and making sure that they don't feel like they're pressured to make a decision on it before they felt ready to. So.
Great, thanks. And Keith, how about Roland Park with we're going to talk about maybe your universal design ordinance here pretty soon, but any pushback from your folks?
No, I wouldn't say we had any pushback. You know, it's education, helping folks to understand what universal design consisted of was, I think, one of the major efforts that we embarked upon. And then, you know, working with somebody who is an expert in that arena to help us develop a policy that can be managed by a fairly small staff. So.
Great. Any other gold level city that would like to talk about by the time that you came to adopting an ordinance or another policy? I think that maybe we have David. Great. David Gruss with Raymore.
Yeah, I apologize. I had to step away for a minute or two, so I may have missed that. I did want to share with the group, we are going through right now on Monday, this next Monday, we're going through a work session to propose a universal design ordinance, which was a policy recommendation of our gold level plan. It's actually really the last policy recommendation that's left that we haven't really acted on. So we're excited about that. The council is actually the one that's kind of been pushing staff to get something in front of them. We've just been too busy to really focus our time on it. I know what the primary discussion I think we'll have is doing something that is meaningful and impactful versus just adopting the ordinance to say that we've done it. Keith mentioned the small staff. That's kind of what we're stuck with here as well. So it's getting a plan together that is implementable by staff and but also meaningful for the people that would hopefully be taking advantage of it. So we have a lot of discussions to do about the cost of what it takes to do some of those improvements in a home versus what the incentive is that the city could offer to make sure that's equal or at least beneficial. But I know we're pulling from a lot of what Roland Park put in their ordinance has been very helpful to start from. But a lot of that comes down to, like I said, what are the important things you want included in a home that's universally designed, either on the front end of the construction or whether it's a retrofit. So we look forward to that discussion with our council on Monday night, hopefully to get some further direction from them on what tools they would want the city to use to incentivize that and get more and more homes in the community. The other one that we did, Dave touched on the accessory dwelling units. We actually passed an ordinance relative to that, I think 3 years ago, to allow them in all of our residential districts. We're just kind of a suburban community, honestly, so we haven't had really any interest in it yet. But we've had a few conversations with homeowners about it, but I would just assume right now the cost of doing that are a little bit higher with construction. So hopefully in the future, as that evens back out, we may continue to see more and more interest. But those would be the two policy recommendations really that I think will have the most impact on the city relative to our community for all ages. So we're excited to see those continue to move forward.
Great. So if there are questions for any of the presenters, please feel free to go ahead and raise your hand or put it in chat. But for maybe the next 10 minutes,